Every AEC organization and professional should have goals that they're striving towards, both short-term and long-term. We see this all the time in our work at the Engineering Management Institute. They have goals, but they don't reach them because they kind of take this sporadic approach where they're just throwing everything at their goals, but they don't have a plan. So in this episode, I'm going to take you through a 3-step process that you can apply for your firm or for yourself as an individual to help you achieve your goals faster, more efficiently, and it's going to make sure that the goals that you're striving towards are ones that really line up with you and your organization. I'm Anthony Fasano, and this is the Civil Engineering CEO. At the Engineering Management Institute, we've had an opportunity to work with many AEC organizations, both public sector and private sector, to build custom leadership development programs, project management development programs. And when we do that, we start to talk with these organizations a lot about their growth plans, right? A lot of them are growing rapidly, and they're trying to keep up with that growth. And one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of these organizations have goals, but they don't have a great approach to try to achieve those goals. And so what I want to do here in this episode is something that can help you as an individual working as an engineer, really in any profession, and as an organization, if you're an organizational leader. It's a strategy to help you to actually set and achieve your goals. And it's kind of a 3-step process that I'm going to give you. We use it here at the Engineering Management Institute for all of our goals, and it has worked really well. And when we get away from it, things don't go well. So basically, it's 3 steps. I'll give them to you now, and then I'll take you through each one, and I'll give you an example. So the first step is that whatever goal that you're pursuing, it must be aligned with your mission, vision, values. If it's not, you're going to get bored of it. You're not going to be interested in it. You're going to be disengaged with it, or your team members will be disengaged with it. So for example, at EMI, our values are give, guide, grow. We give our all, we guide each other, we grow together. And our kind of mantra here is, how do we unlock growth in AEC professionals? How do we unlock growth in ourselves? So if we're chasing a goal that's not unlocking growth in you or us, then we've got an issue. And that's not a goal that we should pursue, right? So that's the first step. It's got to be aligned with what you're all about. Secondly, you have to have a strategy, right, of how you're going to approach that goal. You can't just jump into it. You've got to have a strategy. And again, I'll give you some examples of this in a second. And then the third step is you've got to execute. You have to go execute on that strategy, right? Strategy and execution should always be married together. You can't have one without the other, right? If you have a great strategy, but you don't execute it, what's the point of it? If you have a execution plan, we know how we're going to get it done, but you don't have that strategy or that plan, you haven't thought through it, then it's not going to work out either. Right. So let's kind of walk through this a little bit. And I'm going to focus more on the strategy and execution, because the first step in terms of making sure that the goal is aligned with your vision is really going to be up to you, right? Making sure that it's really mirrors what you're all about. So in terms of a strategy, let's take an AEC firm, for example, and let's say one of their goals is to get better at project management all the way around, right? They're just not managing their projects well. They have a lot of write-offs. They have had unsatisfied clients. So what would be a strategy and an approach for improving project management efforts across an organization? From a strategy perspective, one of the things that you would want to do is take a look at your entire project management ecosystem, which is what we like to call it at EMI, and analyze kind of every area, right? Take stock in every area of it. So what do I mean by the PM ecosystem? What I mean by that is, how do you hire and onboard your project managers? What kind of training and development do you provide to your project managers, and how often? Have you given them the tools, templates, and software that they need to be successful as PMs? How about on the finance side? Do they understand how to invoice, the importance of cash flow? Do they work with your accounting department as well as they could? Right? Do they know how to use your ERP as well as they could? Right? So basically, looking at every aspect of your PM ecosystem would be the strategy. Let's look at it and let's come up with an improvement plan for which portions of our ecosystem, right, or our PM processes do we need to improve, right? And then you can come up with a plan of how you're going to approach that. Then you can go into execution. Maybe you found that you've had a lack of learning and development going on. You've told people to go do some on-demand programs on their own, and they're not doing them. So you need to follow up with them, or you need to implement some kind of live development program, right? Maybe you need to have a better assessment process for assessing the strengths of your project managers. We do that a lot with our AEC PM behaviors assessment at EMI. How do you know where to improve if you can't take stock in your PMs across the different process groups, right? So the strategy allows you to identify the pain points, identify the strengths, and then you can execute on improving in those areas, right? So that's one example. Another example I'll give you with AEC firms, which we see a lot, is how do you recruit and hire better, right? How do you grow faster by hiring the right people, right? So a lot can go into this one as well. So you have to think about the strategy. There could be a couple of different strategies for growing and bringing more people in, right? One strategy can be organic, meaning that you're going to hire people, probably hire people young and develop them over time. Another strategy, kind of an alternate strategy, is to acquire smaller organizations if you're a large organization, right? And you can certainly do both at the same time, but there's clearly two different strategies. So if your strategy is to grow organically, right? Maybe you're at that size, you're at that point in your company's growth, then what would be a strategy for doing that? Let's think of a couple things you could do. First of all, you would want to create a world-class internship program. No doubt about that, right? Get out to the local schools, get your name out there, bring in interns, put together a great internship program, and then make sure you stay in touch with those interns during the school year and you get them back the following year, whether it's for another internship or to hire them on board. Another strategy that you can take is to build a great recent graduate or younger professional career development program so that you're really upskilling your professionals at a young age, which is going to do a couple things. One, it's going to, of course, make them very proficient professionals and productive. But secondly, they're going to really feel good about the fact that you're supporting their career. And if they decide they want to go somewhere else, they're probably not going to be able to find career support like that, because I can tell you we work with a lot of firms and they just don't do these kind of flagship career boosting type programs. Right. So again, if you start to build programs like that, an internship program, a younger professionals program, and you're lining them up, now you're starting to develop people. And when you go to hire people, that's attractive. Wow, you have those kind of programs here. A lot of companies don't have those programs. That's great. Right. So that your strategy would be to develop those programs, and then you got to execute. So you execute. How do we build an internship program? And you start from scratch and you put together your project management plan and you build your internship program. Right. So strategy plus execution. And if you're an individual engineer thinking about this from your own personal perspective, you can do the same thing with your own personal goals. Right. I know for me, I have a book that I'm working on right now. My goal was to write this book this year. So I needed a strategy around it and I needed to execute on it. So my strategy around writing the book was to think about, I'm writing a book about how project management, I'm calling it, is like the holy grail for sustainable growth for AEC firms. If you can't do project management well, you're not going to grow, right? Because we deliver projects. So my strategy was to go through a lot of our projects that we've done with our clients and think through the ups and downs and the challenges, and then sketch out kind of a table of contents, right? That was my strategy, get that in place, and then put together a schedule of executing and writing the chapters. So I developed my strategy, put together the table of contents, sketched out a plan and a schedule, and now I'm in the execution phase and I'm writing the book and it's going very well and I've got 6 or 7 chapters done. So again, whether you're coming at this personally or professionally, it's always important to have goals. And I highly recommend you have quarterly goals, not yearly goals. Yearly goals are too big. Every 90 days, you're going to sprint on some goals. At the end of those 90 days, you're going to check in with those goals, see where you're at. And maybe you finish some, maybe you need to add some, maybe you need to subtract some, right? But whatever your goals are, make sure that number one, they're aligned with your own personal vision, if it's you personally focusing on it, or your company's mission, vision, values. Number two, put together a great strategy for how you're going to achieve that goal, kind of your plan and your approach. And then number three, execute on that strategy. Execute on it consistently. And then, and only then, if you do those 3 things, will you achieve goals that you're aligned with, and that will help you and your organization to be successful. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. I know it was a short one, but I believe it was a powerful one. Because if we're able to set goals that are aligned with our personal mission or our company's mission, and we're able to create a strategy for each one of them and then execute on that strategy, then nobody will stop you from having a lot of growth and success. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to our channel here. We put out videos like this on a weekly basis to help engineers become better managers and leaders. I'll see you next week.